All right, everybody, let's go ahead and share my screen and we will get back to our lectures for Module 7. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple of pieces in the assigned with gender. And these are the first ones that I kind of did do an option but made them mandatory. And I really wanted to just talk through a couple of these as we move into other roles in our life, possibly parenthood, possibly any other thing that could have you interacting with children. Really understanding that Ward's piece here about gender self-determination is, I think, a good, easy 5 steps that we can really think through, but are, when we actualize them, may seem harder to do in real life. But by that, I mean, they're very worth doing. It's just interesting to see how many ways in which these things are ingrained into how we have learned how to be social bodies. So the first thing, referring to kids as boys and girls. Okay, and this one could be more broad, right? We can even talk about this as adults and when we enter spaces with other adults or in the classrooms. Not entering the classroom or saying, hey guys, like, which I still do, even consistently working on trying to make that not the case. And the word y'all is a wonderful thing sometimes. And so make use of that. Hey, everyone, refer to the kids as kids. Kiddos, biddies is sometimes how we refer to kids in our household. There's, I had a professor in my undergrad who called everyone pumpkins. Hey, pumpkins. It's like a very sweet and affirming way of not putting gender on to an entire group of individuals in a way that doesn't allow for inclusivity. So queering your kid, and this does not mean what you think it means. So it does not mean going in and I'm going to get the exact wording they use, but this does not mean going in and just making sure that all your kids grow up as trans or queer individuals. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You can't make someone be this. However, you can give spaces and give options that allow for the ability for individuals to be their own selves. And I want to make sure that we do that in a way that is very affirming and creates affirming spaces. And I'm getting to that page real quick. But I want to, so the way they say this is buy clothing or acquire hand-me-down clothing marketed to both boys and girls. If you have a child with a penis, do not refer to those clothes marketed to girls, such as dresses or special costumes or occasions or dress up. This reinforces the strangeness or difference until your child is old enough to create their own gendered style, aim for androgyny or alternative butch femme aesthetics on different days. So really just understanding that, again, this comes down to color. This comes down to choices that you make, even in what you want to have your babies in. Put those babies in any color that you want to, in any pattern you want to, in any woodland creature, truck, dinosaur, bow you want to, right? But understand that in the options you give young children that don't have the accessibility to obtain their own clothes or choose their own clothes. And again, when they start having a voice about this, let them have that voice, but allowing them the space to have those options within their wardrobe or have those options within their expression is important, right? It matters. And so when they say queer your kid, they're not telling you to specifically give them any kind of identity, which again comes into the third one. Don't diagnose your kid, right? Your kid's going to come up with their own versions of themselves and their own, in the same way that when you have these rigid rules of exactly what job you want your kid to have when they grow up, the likelihood that they are going to not think kindly to that is going to be strong, right? So if you give your children a very one-noted, demeaning version of what it means to be any particular identity that they may carry, you are ostracizing options. And so just make sure that you're thinking through how you engage with your children in that way, or with children that are around you, or with humans that are around you. Change the words in kids' books. I particularly love this. If you change pronouns for characters, or change the way in which you engage with characters in a book when kids are little, you're allowing space and inclusivity that may not otherwise be there. There are also great resources on finding inclusive books. This is something that has been a pet project of mine for a long period of time, is to make sure that I have books that range in characters and in capabilities, in not just in gender, but in race, in body styles, in all sorts of things, in all sorts of in all sorts of family styles, and all sorts of shapes, sizes, creeds, and otherwise, within the kids books that you offer. So if you only give them kids books that look, sound, think exactly like them and the household that they operate in, then when they get out in the world, they're going to have some harsh realities they have to face and not understand why they're there. So just making your kids books more wide a variety, and your kids' toys a more wide a variety, is a big deal. When an important adult thinks they need to know your kid's gender, ask why. Why does it matter? Also push back and find ways to be supportive. If your child decides to use they them pronouns, decides to use pronouns that differ from their sex assigned at birth, chooses to want a different name change, choose to want to express themselves in any particular form or fashion, do the things that create support for your child, or for the children in your world, not the things that elicit more harms and less support. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave that. Moving forward into on queer parenting and gender neutrality. Can babies gender? So they pretty much cry, eat, poop, lay there, make cute sounds. And these cute sounds are universal, it turns out. What you do to express the sex they are assigned at birth, in the way of dressing them, in the way of putting bows in their hair, in the way that you shape their hair, has very little to do with the human being's developmental level and or capacity to know what any of those mean. And that is something that takes learned capabilities that they don't have at infancy, that they don't have at young childhood, right? Our ideas of gender are really shaped and molded by what we learned. So understand that the more in which options you give, the more options they feel like they always know they have, and the more options they will advocate for themselves later in life. The way we gender baby at court. Yeah, I could talk all day about this. I mean, even the gender reveal, right? You're not revealing a gender because a child cannot, an infant inside, or even a fetus in a uterus, has a sex, and a sex that hopefully they didn't get wrong on an ultrasound based on what limited pictures they have, right? But they don't have a way of expressing themselves, a way of eliciting any kind of societal norm, because they don't have a clue what any of those things mean, or otherwise concerned, right? That's not something babies can do. So this idea of gender reveals, and again, that's not to say that you can't tell somebody the sex of your baby, but if you're doing that specifically to get decor and only clothing that is specifically one or two colors, or specifically geared towards Tonka trucks and dinosaurs or what have you, right? Then you're limiting what things your kid can get interested in, the colors that they're going to see as normal in their eyes for them to wear, the types of clothing they're going to see as normal for them to wear. And I'm going to tell you that, again, this will feed right into that conversation that we have and that piece about bodies and dress in preschools, right? It'll limit the ability they have to play certain things, to do certain things, and the ways in which they will, that translates into career paths and all sorts of different things is they're stepping stones. And so understanding that it's okay to put a wide variety of colors on your kid and in your kid's bedroom is, and it's not going to give them a complex. It's not going to make them question who they are. No matter what, no matter how many options you give to individuals, they will pick the one that's most true to themselves. If you don't give them any options that feel true to themselves, they will find them. That is something that you will learn about kids. They will find what works for them, whether or not you want that to be what works for them. And again, this is the same for diaper bags. And they use the diaper dude, which I find entertaining. But this idea that diaper bags, you can market diaper bags to men to make them look less like diaper bags and more like satchels and all sorts of random things. But here's the thing, like, also as a society, if dude is a parent, dude can wear like a diaper bag. It's not the end of the world, right? So just, I don't know, just really understanding the costs and complexities of your gender neutral options. Also, like when you look at the bags that were on diaper dude, or you look at the things that are most traditional are going to be the cheapest, and the things you feel are more gender neutral, or the things that maybe give you a more wide variety of options, generally come with means and access. If you're going to wear hand-me-downs from your friends or from other people or from family members, or you're relying on gifts given to you at baby showers, you may not be able to put the same stipulations, or may not be able to have the same level of neutrality that you wanted to in your parenting. Figure out other ways to do it, right? Figure out when you read stories, or when they go to the library, they pick out stories that you're also maybe throwing in a couple that you want to with inclusive characters, right? When you're reading stories, turns out for a good several years, you can change up those things if you want to. And again, if you choose not to do these options, that doesn't make you a terrible parent. That's not what I'm saying. But there are ideas and things that shake the foundation of the assumptions we make of parenting, and the assumptions we make of what is beneficial. And so really, I like this article because it defines queer parenting as a cultural process that actively considers the ways in which parenting practices and identities can resist heteronormative assumptions that structure predominant parenting forms and relations. So we can use our parenting as a form of activism. We can use our parenting as a form of social change. We can use our parenting as a form of allyship and support. We can use our parenting as a way to not engage in the structures and the societal norms that mandate us to be a certain way. We can use parenting as resistance. And so I kind of will leave you there. If you are a parent or a grandparent, or again, you're going to engage with children a lot in your career, or you just find this really fascinating, I love talking about this. I think it's very interesting. I think it's can come with a crap ton of challenges, and I like talking through that too. I'm in, like, as a mom myself, I have navigated and had many of these conversations with other moms, with myself, with my partner, with neighbors, with friends, with family members, with relatives. So I have no problem having another conversation, even if you're very hesitant or you wholeheartedly disagree. Like, we can have a conversation. Let's do it. I'm down. So reach out if you want to. If not, that's cool too. If you just have a question, or you just want to shoot me an email, you can. If you want to set up a Zoom, we can. I have a phone too, it turns out. So if you want to have a phone call, we can do that too. Um, but yeah, reach out if you need to. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And I think the only one left is kind of the optionals and tasks. And so hit that up if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I will see you again soon. Bye, everybody.